to Rock of Ages Whole Health Living, where we celebrate living loud, living proud, and living well on our own terms. I'm Emily, and today I'm talking with Lori Bernaccio. Lori's on a mission to help baby boomers and beyond embrace technology, not just to stay independent, but to thrive. Lori, you call this aging loud. Tell us about that.
Oh, hi, Emily. It's so nice to talk to you, and thank you for asking me about aging loud. To me, that term that term is something that I came up with because it for me embodies how I want to age. I've been a nursing home administrator for 30 years, and I was in my 20s when I started out, and I have to say that all these years of watching people age, I feel like I have a really good idea of how I want to age and how I don't want to age. And aging loud for me means being unapologetically myself at every age. It means not letting my physical ailments, any diseases I might have, overshadow the essence of me. That the essence of me is always going to come through as I age. And I'm really inspired by the music and the legacy of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And so, I love rock and roll music because to me, rock and roll music is about rebellion. It's about energy. It's about, doing things in a way that's not constrictive. And I want to think about aging the same way.
Absolutely. I think that's a beautiful thing. Now, you've worked with older adults for decades. Why bring whole health into a tech podcast?
Yeah, it's interesting how those two things kind of came together. And once they did, it really made sense for me. I gravitated towards whole health in my career because I found that personally I was gravitating towards whole health. So let me just explain a little bit about what whole health is. Whole health is about moving away from disease and illness and having the philosophy of what matters to me instead of what's the matter with me, if that makes sense. I think that to me, that's the best way to explain it because we all have ailments and they increase as we get older. So we have aches, we have pains, we have limitations. And every year that we live, those can sometimes increase and sometimes in big leaps and jumps. For example, this past year I've had a bout with my vision. And so, I've been working through that. But the thing I think is that when I talk about whole health, it's not just dealing with the disease of my vision, it's dealing with every part of me that goes into that. So, for example, my diet, my exercise, my stress level, my spirituality, my connection with my community and my family and my friends. So, all of those things really has taken a big part of that wholeness of wellness. And I think that when I talk about whole health, that's what we're talking about. It's interesting. I went to the eye doctor the other day, and I tried to talk a little bit to her about whole health, and it just kind of fell flat because she just wasn't getting it. I was trying to talk to her about, it started out because she said, "Hey, Lori, good news! Like your eyesight, it has improved. You're back to where you were before you started having the problem you were having." And I'm like, "Oh, that's great, but I'm not surprised because I can see better. But here's all the things that I did to get to that." And it fell so flat. Like she was like, "Oh, okay, well, none of that is proven." And I wanted, part of me wanted to get into this major debate, but but the smarter part of me just wanted to hightail it out of there with a good report, you know, and go to Perkins afterwards with a good report. But all kidding aside, to me, that's what whole health is. It's not just dealing with a disease; it's dealing with really wellness and the entirety of the person, and not discounting things that maybe are not as tangible, not discounting connection to community, not discounting how much stress has an impact on our lives, or not exercising what that really does to us over time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's such a huge connection to all these little details in our lives coming back together to how we feel at the end of the day.
Do you find that as well?
Oh, absolutely. I think sometimes, all of a sudden you're stressed and you're having all these weird symptoms you weren't having before, and then you realize what that stress has done to your body and how you move differently and feel differently throughout the day.
It's so true.
Mhm. Okay, so what's the next question that we have on our list? I'm looking back here. So I'm looking at the script. What do we have next?
Um,
Because I feel like it goes right back into aging loud, my own journey, which is you.
Oh, yeah, we could talk a little bit more about aging loud. It is a slogan. It's a slogan I came up with, but it's not just a slogan, right? It's um it's the freedom that comes when you refuse to let physical changes be what represents you.
Mhm.
So when I say aging loud, that's what I mean.
All right. So you've mentioned before that sometimes technology gets in the way of care. Do you have an example of that?
Oh yeah, I do. That thanks for asking me. I have a great example. I get a call one Saturday afternoon from a frustrated nurse, and she said to me, "I can't give out the medication because, the medication cart is attached to, of course, a very complex, computerized medical record system." And she said, My code for the medical record system is not going through. Like, I haven't worked in a while and my code's timed out. And, I was like, well, just call IT. And she says, yeah, I have IT on the phone, but they're saying we have to fill out like form 003.2 and it has to be signed by all these people. And she's like, I'm really late giving out the medications. So I was like, wow, it really, it really hit me because, it seems so simple, doesn't it? Like, there's the nurse, there are the medications, there are the people who need the medications. They're all right there. Yet we could not give one medication to one resident because they were, locked through technology. So, that was a matter of getting on the phone with IT and basically groveling and begging to kind of bypass some of the regulatory stopgaps that we have, right? Which, look, that's not something I'm advocating for, but the point is that those residents needed those medications in a timely manner. So, I did my best to explain to him, and it culminated in me saying, "Hey, we can't let technology intercept humanity. We have to use we have to use our best judgment when it comes to technology."
I,
Yeah, it's not an all or nothing. It's not like, oh, we have technology, we're not allowed to use our common sense anymore. I
right,
think I think that's sometimes what people are afraid of because we get into that all or nothing mentality. It's really, the technology is to enhance the good parts that of our abilities.
Right, exactly. So we can't let that hold us back. You have to have that fine balance between technology and human brains, human spirit.
Definitely, definitely.
And the name Rock of Ages, Whole Health Living. What's the story there?
Yeah, yeah. So it's something that has been in my head for a long time developing. Um, you know, I'd like to see it grow further from here, from the podcast. I like it as a philosophy because, and it's a pun, of course. I don't know if does that come through, but rock as in rock and roll in of ages. So of getting older. But the thing is that I wanted to capture the spirit of rock and roll. That rebellious, high energy spirit. I was at a concert. Oh, well, let me tell you about the Lady Gaga concert that I was at. When you talk about energy, because she was so full of energy, and it was in Madison Square Garden in New York City, and the place was just packed, and just the crowds energy of just being so happy in one place and being just affected by the music. It was so profound that if anybody had like a toothache or a headache or whatever, nobody was thinking about that. And nobody was thinking about, anything that was ailing them. Everybody was just so into the energy. And I want to capture that energy. When you see people at a concert, I think it's like the best anti-aging ever. People are tapping their feet to the music and singing along and just remembering really good times. And I think it's magical, really. I think that it's magical, and I think that it's probably the healthiest thing we could do. And I really, I want to capture that energy.
Yeah, I think that's a really beautiful thing. I think it's something that we need even more as we age. We think about this being like rock and roll for young people, and we don't think about as people age how much they rely on music, both for the sense of spirit, but even, you'd have to tell me in your own experience what you've seen through dementia care and Alzheimer's care and how that can be connected to music to unlock different parts of the brain to give them a little bit more of that sense of peace.
Yeah, and it's been kind of cool watching the music part for me change, because when I started out in my 20s, think about the music that those residents they were listening to, right? It was very it was music from the 1940s and 50s, right? So now the residents are listening to more folk music, and that type of, they're listening to oldies is like Bob Dylan now, right? It's like it's changed. Or one of my favorite bands, The Doors, like now like or the Beatles. The Beatles are almost universal with music, right? But when I started working 30 years ago, you would never play Beatles music for the residents. But now you would, if you were going to go give a concert in assisted living, you would definitely play the Beatles. That would be completely appropriate, because things are changing. So I think in the history of timing to do things, I think right now, with the baby boomers coming of age, I think this is absolutely the best time to embark on Rock of Ages whole health living. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited about it. And I really just want to spread the word. I hope this podcast goes far and wide. I cannot wait, Emily, to be able to get into other podcasts and really talk about some of the amazing products that are out there. There's such great technology that people don't even know about. I've been recently talking with a representative from Orcam, which is an eyeglass company that makes really specialized tech glasses for sight impaired individuals. And it's just the things that they can do are just really mind blowing. And I think a lot of people just don't know. Even I mentioned earlier I was having a problem with my eyesight this past summer. And, at the age of 56, I went back to school, believe it or not. I went back to college. And one of my biggest struggles, which became even a bigger struggle when I was having problems with my eyes, was just getting that volume of reading done.
Mm,
But I have different glasses. I got the Metas. I don't have them on now, but I have the Metas. I was able to put my readers in so I could wear my contacts, and then the Metas, and they can read things to me,
that must
and
be a big help.
it's a big help. It's a big help. And that's what I'm talking about, Emily, because that's not letting your disability rule who you are. That's exactly what I'm talking about, because it would be so easy for me to say, oh, I'm having problems with my eyesight. I have to drop out of school. It'd be real easy to say that, and that's how people get old prematurely,
Mm,
by limiting themselves.
yeah,
So I'm really excited to kind of get out there, get the word for this technology out there, and show people that they have options.
absolutely. And I've even heard people talking about when it comes to disability, it's not a matter of if you're going to be disabled in life. If you're lucky enough to age, at some point you will have some form of disability, whether it's hearing loss or visual or any of the other thousands of things that are out there. So I think it's good to get ahead of the game and start thinking about how we can use technology to combat these issues. And like you said, for a lot of people, it slows them down or stops them altogether once they start to have these issues, as opposed to getting to a point where we can make these changes in their lives in a positive way that can allow them to keep doing the things they want to keep doing, whether it's understanding more conversations as they're out with friends and family and their community, or if it's being able to do more on their own and having that sense of independence, I think is really important. So I'm glad that you're combining these things together and really looking into the potential for the future.
Yeah, yeah, that's really true what you said, and I never really thought about it that way. But everybody, look, if we're fortunate enough to age, everybody's going to have something. Sure, some are bigger in magnitude than others, but everybody's going to have some sort of struggle with our body, right? It's just that's how it goes. So I really like how you talk about, it's how are you going into that, right? What's your mindset? What's
My
your
mindset is
mindset?
what I would be doing. I don't know. It's hard to say because I think right now nobody wants to face the reality of what can change as we age. And we're like, oh, I'll deal with it when I get there. But
Yeah.
we're at our best point now to use our full brain, full potential to find the solutions before they're a problem. Because by the time they're a problem, you need the solution already, and you don't have the energy or the capability to find that solution. So I think it's really important to kind of look into the future and see what could be so that you could be prepared for the possibilities. And I think that in and of itself, just having a plan, a lot of times can take away that stress and worry that, again, we are talking about all that stress weighs on you, has a toll on the body. So sometimes just taking that extra time to be prepared and thinking about what can be done. No one wants to think about the, oh, what if, but sometimes you have to in order to prepare yourself for it better.
Yeah, it's so true, and sometimes too. I mean, I think I know you have your grandma who's like to me, she's really a great role model because of her energy, But even you're in a position to help other people when you have knowledge, of what technology is out there that can be helpful for people. So, I'm really looking forward to the success of this podcast so we can get some of that information out there, not just people like me who are in, kind of up close and personal with the aging process, but also people that, have family members that they could help, or social workers, case managers, physicians, counselors. There's so many people that would benefit from knowing this information just because they touch so many other lives. And
Absolutely.
I think that's like information, especially now, I feel like it spreads so much from word of mouth.
Absolutely. So the more that
Yeah.
we know, because again, what did we say? As you're older and you're experiencing these problems, you're less likely to be able to find out the solution. So if you find out the solution younger, or you have younger people around you that are already thinking about those solutions, the more likely you are to get the care that you need and the things that will really help assist you. And like you're saying, my grandmother, the same woman that went skydiving, not skydiving, zip lining. Well, she wants
Yeah.
to go skydiving. That's the next one, but not with me. She can go with you because I know you've done that as well. But this is the same woman that goes zip lining and takes herself to New Hampshire every year
Yeah.
and like does that drive. But we also have to face the reality, which none of us want to, but like she is aging and she's home by herself and she needs that extra care. So one of the things that we had talked about was getting her a smartwatch because we said, you know what? If you're home and you want to keep as busy as you want to be and doing stuff around the house, what if you fall? Nobody's around. Like nobody's going to hear if something happens. Like we need to know. So one of the things we did was we got her a smartwatch. That way it has the fall detection and it has the ability for her to make phone calls. So,
Yeah.
this is the kind of woman that's like, I'm not going to wear a life alert. Yeah, of course, you want to not feel like you're aging
Right.
or it's that emergency button. This instead is, okay, it's going to help me with all my things. I can call my grandkids from here. I can talk into it and send a text if I can't see my phone well. It
Yeah,
gives you more of
and
that
it looks
ability.
cool.
Yeah.
It looks cool. I mean, not to sound silly, but I think things have to look cool.
Yeah.
I mean, does that sound silly? But I wouldn't want to wear something that didn't look cool,
Right.
because aesthetics are important, right? And so you don't want to feel like, oh, I have this, device on and it makes me look old. So I think that with tech, you kind of get a little bit of that too, because it is modern and fresh. Well, Emily,
Absolutely.
I feel like this has been a great success, and I hope you join me on future podcasts. I hope we can partner and work together, rolling out all this good information.
Absolutely. It's been so great talking to you, and I'm looking forward to the future.
Thank you. Thank you. Me too.
Thank you.
All right. Rock on.